Hey everybody, Sultan Ramsey here, the political preacher, coming to you with another episode. Today I want to talk about why I cannot vote Democrat. This is a topic that needs to be discussed. Unfortunately, the Bible says that our people perish for a lack of knowledge because they reject knowledge. So it's not like knowledge is not available. I'm going to put some knowledge out here today that's available. This is not based on preferences, but it's based on principle. The problem with a lot of my people is that we vote based on personality and based on preference. If they give us a black person, a half black person, somebody who talks nice to us, somebody who tries to relate to us, we gonna vote for them. But that's a problem though, because you cannot build a nation on personalities. You have to build a strong nation on strong families, and strong families are built on principle. That's why you can't leave the Bible out. Like, you have to have some kind of principles in order to raise a strong family and a strong nation. So I talk often, I have friends who are Democrats, who vote Democrat. I try not to divide with people over who they choose to vote for. That's their right. But, I don't agree. Same thing with like homosexuality. I don't hate homosexuals, but I don't agree. It's the same thing with abortion. People get an abortion, I understand, and you might need to get forgiveness and you got to deal with some issues, but I don't agree. You see what I mean? And it's just like, if I have a friend who smokes crack, it's his choice to smoke crack, but I don't agree, right? It's not right. And, a lot of times that's the issue. Is it right or is it wrong? So let's get into it. I don't want to belabor things. The first reason why I do not vote Democrat, and as a matter of fact, cannot. Not do not, but cannot. And there's a difference. Like if they changed, So something happened, and we had a real dynamic change, like Kennedy, maybe, you have to consider things. I don't see that happening. But the reason why I cannot is reason number one, racism. Now, racism is not the same as prejudice. People are prejudiced. Systems are racist. So the Democrats founded the KKK. The KKK hate black people. I happen to be black. That's racism. And they create systems. Let me tell you, not just they hate black people, they prejudice, but they create systems as such. Let me give you some examples of some racist systems. Jim Crow was started by Democrats. Jim Crow was a racist system, a system that oppressed people based on their race. The war on poverty. The war on poverty was started by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965. Since 1965, we spent $22 trillion, that's taxpayer money, on the war on poverty. What was the purpose of the war on poverty? Remember, the whole purpose of the Democratic Party in the first place was to keep slaves. To keep slaves. They already had slaves and slaves got set free. They wanted to keep them. So they created the war on poverty. Why? To create us to be dependent on them just like the master. See, listen, when you attest to the war on poverty, you become dependent. The government become your master. You need food, you got to go get your food stamps. You need something to drink, you got to go get your WIC. Now, WIC was started by the Black Panthers, though, but it's taken over by the government. And that's another story. I get into it at a different time. But see, whenever you need you need your rent paid, who going to pay? Master going to pay your rent. So they started the war on poverty, Democrats did, to make black people dependent. And guess what one of the rules was? One of the rules is, currently, you can't have a black man in the house. You can't get welfare if you got a husband in your house, a man in your house. They coming through checking for extra toothbrushes, all that stuff. And so they created a process by which, watch this now, this is Democrats. This is why I cannot vote Democrat. So they created a system, which is racist, by which let's get rid of the man and make you dependent on the government. And so up till this day, 1965, 75, 85, 95, 2005, 2015, 54 years, black people still poor. 54 years. There's been a war on poverty 54 years. We still broke. And now we become dependent on the government. That's racism. It's a system set to oppress us based on who we are. And that's another reason why I cannot. But that's not the only racist system. The war on drugs. Now, the war on drugs was started by Reagan. But man, let me tell you something. It was straight Hiroshima'd by your boy, who y'all call the first black president because he played saxophone, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton came out with these minimum mandatory laws. Man, Bill Clinton locked up more black people, look it up, do your research, than any president before him combined. That's racist. You see that? It's a system set up against the people. That's racist. That's democratic policies that are racist. Remember, racism is systematic. Prejudice, that's personal. I don't like you because you got a blue shirt, whatever. You don't like me because I'm black, that's your opinion. Bye. But when you create a system, when you create a disparity between sentencing, if I got crack cocaine, I'm going to get 10 times more than a person with powder cocaine because white people use powder cocaine, but black people got crack cocaine. That's racism. When a black person or white person commit the same crime and get 2 different sentences, that's a form of racism. And racism is pushed by the Democratic Party. I'll tell you another form of racism. Y'all, some of y'all are not going to like this, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway because it's the truth. The Civil Rights Movement was a form of racism. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, the Civil Rights Movement was mainly because white women couldn't vote. That's the first thing you got to understand. But the second thing is this. When you begin to give any class of people special privileges, there's some things that are implied. Like, number one, you're not smart enough to do it on your own. You see how that works? See, there's no other people group who beg to be accepted by another people except our people. And as soon as we start pushing for quote unquote civil rights, because before the civil rights movement, now listen to me closely, we had tighter knit families, we had tighter knit communities because we owned everything in our communities. We didn't have to ride on the back of the bus. We owned our own buses. And see, here's the issue. The issue, this is about racism. Remember, I'm talking about cannot vote for Democrats because of racist policies. And the civil rights movement is one of them. Simply because when you take a look at the outline of it. So I went from owning a bus company to trying to ride on the front of the bus of a white man's bus company. Let that man have his bus company. You don't see, now listen. And listen to this. You got Asians, they don't try to integrate. You got Jews, they don't try to integrate. You got Italians, they don't try to integrate. These people got their own school. You got Muslims, these people groups, they don't try to integrate and they get along just fine. They get along just fine. But we were fed these racist policies that you got to go beg the white man to go be in his school, and he don't even want you there. Now, listen, now you got to understand, you got some white people who don't like black people, you got some white people fine with it. You got some black people who don't like white people. That's prejudice. What I'm talking about is racism. And what I'm trying to show you is the Democratic Party, the reason why I cannot vote for them is because all their policies are racist. Now, see, here's your problem. You keep thinking racism is if somebody talk mean to you. If they call you the N-word, they must be racist. No, that person just prejudiced. He just ignorant. And that's how you get food. Because, see, our community suffers from Stockholm Syndrome. You know what that is, Stockholm Syndrome? It's when you start to become compassionate toward your captor. When you start to relate to them and you start to push for the same thing they pushing for. And that's what our community suffers. So I don't suffer from that. But our community suffers. So we got the civil rights movement came along, right? And so then we got, special privileges to go to college, special privileges. But guess what? Here's the problem. In most societies, in most groups that are successful, white people successful. Why? And I'm not talking about racism. Listen to what I'm saying closely. They have strong families. And they have strong principles. You're not going to find a white news station call a white man a terrorist if he shoot up a school. Now, if it's a Muslim, they call him a terrorist. But if it's a white man, they ain't going to call him a terrorist. Why? That's a principle, though. And it's smart. So we be hating on people so much. You got to learn. It's smart. They stick together because unity, there's power and strength in numbers. Asian people do the same thing. They come over this country, can't speak the language. They opened up a Chinese food restaurant. They got a Chinatown. Why you got Chinatown? They ain't trying to integrate. That's why. But guess what? You go over there, don't you? You want some pho, right? You want some Chinese food? You want some sushi? You gonna go over there. If we had a black side of town that we actually own, people would come over to eat at the restaurant, right? Because what you do is you bring your culture in, you build up a strong economic base. Strong families is the base foundation for everything, right? God's first institution in the Bible was what? Family. Adam, Eve, and their children. You would have strong families, and then we would contribute. See, we wouldn't be users. See, we don't want the government to feed us, government to do this, government to do that. We don't go work at other people's factories, work other people's jobs. See, we're not producers. But most people groups come to this country like Asians. They don't look like none of us, right? They get their own little Chinatown. They buy from their own supermarket. They go to their own banks. They buy their own cars, you know, their Hondas and their Acuras and all that, right? And they keep that money in their community. And then they begin to produce things in their community. And guess what? Other people groups like those things, and we go get them. Italians do the same thing. They got their own system, right? You know, they stick together. They got their own restaurant. When you want a good pizza, you want some good pasta, where you gonna go? And it's supposed to be that way for us too. But when the civil rights movement came, it told us that we needed special privileges to do anything. And so now I want to ride on the front of the white man's bus, so I shut down my own buses. And I want to eat at the white man's restaurant. Why that man can't have his own restaurant? I'm just being honest with you. You have your restaurant, I got my restaurant. When you want some fried chicken and some collard greens, you come on over here. You know what I mean? And when I want some stewed tomatoes and whatever else y'all make over there, I might go over there. You see what I'm saying? That's the way the world works. But no, Democrats want to keep slaves. So they create the war on poverty, give us welfare. Now you got to look to massa. Create civil rights movement, got to look to massa. Want to go to college, got to look to massa. You know what I mean? Got to get the help. Got to get affirmative action. We need to make our own jobs, not beg for jobs. That's another reason why I can't, but I'm still on the racism thing when it comes to Democrat. And then we talk about the war on drugs already, right? So Bill Clinton incarcerated all these people that come with all these laws that are disproportionate toward our people. That's all Democrats. And see, whenever I start bringing up people talk about, well, look, I ain't telling you to vote Republican. Don't vote at all. I don't care. But what I'm telling you is you need to get wise that these Democrats ain't doing nothing for you. And I can guarantee you that our ancestors didn't fight so we could vote for the oppressor. Yeah, y'all must be tripping. So, racism, number one reason why I can't vote for Democrats. Number two, taxation. Let me tell you something. We got to get educated. When the Democrats say we need to tax the rich, do you know what that really means? Well, first of all, you don't even ask. What kind of tax you talking about? Capital gains tax? Estate tax? Income tax? A state tax? We don't have state taxes here. We don't even know. But I'm going to tell you what they're talking about. Most wealthy people don't get an income. Most wealthy people make their money off of their investments. Accidentally shut the phone off. Let me pick back up. Steve Jobs don't pay income tax. He paid himself $1 a year. Warren Buffett don't pay income tax. And they've told you this. We be laughing like, man, Warren Buffett said his secretary pay more taxes than he do. Right. So when Democrats are talking about taxation, they talking about taxing you. You the one working an hourly job. You the one paying income tax, silly. They talking about taxing you and you voting for, yeah, they're taxing rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. They ain't taxing no rich. Rich people don't pay income taxes, and that's what they raising up. And you voting for Democrats to tax the rich, which is trickery. Because see, I mean, listen, don't think that the master will get slaves by being upfront. Like, hey, excuse me, I want to rape you and your kids and your wife and, you know, put you. No, that's not how it worked. Just like Satan, they were subtle about it. And that's what's happening today. It's subtle, but you're not paying attention because you're rejecting knowledge, so you don't understand. So, number one, I cannot vote for Democrats because of racism. Number two, because of taxation. They want to tax my people more. You can't tax me. I'm a business owner. I'm in a different tax bracket. Listen, I broke those chains a long time ago. My wife and I, we're in a different place. That's why I can tell you all this. That's why I understand all this. Wealthy people live off of investments. So we pay a capital gains tax. Not saying I'm all that wealthy and everything, but you understand what I'm saying? We pay capital gains tax. But when they start raising taxes, they're raising income taxes. So they're going to tax the lawyers and the doctors too, because they're taking the income, but they're also going to tax you more. You're going to get less money on your check. And by the way, when they take them taxes out, they take your money, they get interest on it, they invest your money, give it back to you with no interest at all. And a lot of times they give back less than what they take. They're robbing you. But you vote for it though, because Hillary keeps hot sauce in her purse. And Obama, he half black, so we're going to vote for him. You know, and I voted for Obama in 08 too, because I thought there was going to be some real change, but there wasn't change. Wasn't change at all. It's the same old Democratic platform of racism, taxation, and abortion. I cannot vote for the genocide of my own people. That don't make no sense. Abortion is murder. Well, the law don't say it's murder. Well, the law didn't say that black people was a whole person either, remember? We were 3/5. Well, the law didn't say that black people could sit on the same counter, remember? The law don't say a lot of things. But the law of man should not dictate for a people who claim to be a people of God. Black people got more churches in the community than any other community. We claim to love God. Well, why don't we obey God? And then people tell me, well, you know, I'm not going to abort my baby, but, you know, I support somebody else's right to. So the Bible says love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you ain't going to kill your baby, why you want your sister to kill her baby or your brother to kill his baby? Don't make no sense. And I cannot support a party who wants to eliminate my people through eugenics and genocide. I can't do it because all abortion clinics in the black community, and they're there for a reason. Because we love Master so much that if he tells us to kill ourselves, we're going to kill ourselves. That's exactly what we're going to do. And that's exactly what we do. And that's why we still 12% of the population. And we've been here for like hundreds of years. And we ain't grown none. Can't do it. The other reason is the homosexual agenda. You say, Sultan, what do you mean homosexual agenda? Well, you know, the Bible says in Romans chapter 1 that the cause of homosexuality is because people don't love and honor God, though they know God. That's in Romans 1. You can go check that out for yourself. But I know that a community cannot survive without strong families. And you can't have strong families without a family unit. You know, husband, wife, and children. It's contrary to God's plan for life, period. I don't care if people prefer what they can prefer whatever they want. But see, I'm about nation building. I'm about leaving generational wealth for my children. So I've got to be strategic about what I'm doing. This ain't just mancy-pantsy, I'm going to make it up as I go along and do what I feel. It's based on principles, people. You got to get some principles and some values. So I can't support a homosexual agenda. I can't support black men walking around with purses and high heels. It's bad enough there's not many good black men out here as it is. They either, you know, black men are incarcerated, being murdered, and now you're going to put dresses on them? And then black women support that foolishness. I don't understand why you're still single. I mean, it just don't make any sense. But, you know, it is what it is. But this is the reason why I cannot vote Democrat. So let's review. Reasons why I cannot vote Democrat. Number one, racism. They founded by the KKK. They founded Jim Crow. They have disparity in sentencing. They have the war on drugs. They have the war on poverty. They brought the civil rights movement, trying to make me feel like I needed some kind of special privilege to be able to be somebody and do something. That's reason number one. Number two, taxation. Whenever they talk about taxing the rich, they're not going to tax the rich. They're going to tax you, your income. They're taxing income taxes. That's what they're raising. They're not raising capital gains tax anytime soon. You understand? Number three, abortion. I cannot agree with killing babies because God don't agree with it. Just that simple. Cannot murder babies and think that God going to bless you. He is not. And that's why you say, oh, God going to forgive me. Listen, you reap what you sow. You want to know why everything you do is cursed? The wages of sin is death. Everything in your life die. Your relationships die. Your kids ain't worth nothing. Your money ain't never growing. The wages of sin is death. I can't do it. Cannot support a party who supports genocide on my own people. That don't make no sense. Number four, I don't support a homosexual agenda. Sorry. It's not God's plan for family. It's not going to make a strong nation. I'm about nation building. Can't support it. I can't support it. And my last reason why I cannot vote for the Democrat Party, I don't suffer from Stockholm Syndrome. I don't find the ones who oppress me and join their team. That's not what God teaches, right? Satan was the oppressor. God teaches us to have freedom through Christ, right? Freedom. So those are my reasons why I cannot vote for the Democrat Party. I appreciate you listening, and thank you very much for your time. If you like this video, make sure you like it and you share it. Let some other people get this knowledge. Don't be selfish. I'm also on YouTube as The Political Preacher. I'm also on Instagram as The Political Preacher. And of course, I'm here on Facebook, The Political Preacher. Like and share, comment. Let me know your thoughts and your feelings on it. I appreciate you. Till next time, take care. God bless.